right, welcome to the Lobos Leadership Forum, Mastering Your Elevator Pitch. My name is Arlissa Hackes, and I am the Region 5 Professional Development Director. We're really excited to have this Lobos Leadership Forum in April. The dates are still to be announced, but the elevator pitch is going to be one of the requirements for students attending the LLF. So we are excited to have David share his insights and experiences on elevator pitching with us. And I'll go ahead and introduce David. So David formerly worked for SpaceX, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin as an engineer before he transitioned to the financial services industry. After his father passed away, David helped his mom through some tough financial questions, and that gave him the spark to pursue a career in financial planning. David is passionate about serving others and lives by Zig Ziglar's famous saying, "You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get you what you want." He knows firsthand that the true happiness is experienced when helping others. David Sandu is an investment advisor representative with Eversource Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. And all to you, David.
All right. Well, thanks, Alyssa. I appreciate that. And good to have everyone here today. Yeah, I'm excited to share mastering your elevator pitch. I'm going to be going through some insights that I've learned along the way. So yeah, my backstory is I interned actually at a number of companies at NASA, at Hewlett Packard, at a couple of different sites there. Worked at Raytheon, transitioned over to SpaceX in McGregor, Texas. Then I transitioned to Lockheed Martin. I worked at a number of other aerospace and defense companies like L3 Harris and Axiom Space and AST Space Mobile, Bell Helicopter, and then Firefly Aerospace. So kind of been around the block in terms of aerospace and defense. And one of the things, and kind of one of the themes that will come out over this presentation is confidence. And so I want to make sure that as you're thinking through your own elevator pitch, that make sure that wherever you get confidence from, maybe it's from a parent, or maybe it's from a partner, or maybe it's from listening to motivational music, whatever that is, people can see and hear the confidence in your voice. And so when you're doing your elevator pitch, you definitely want to make sure that you're beaming with confidence, because people again can see that, they can hear that, and you definitely want to broadcast that in the way that you talk and communicate with other people. So just let that be the underlying pin throughout this little workshop here. So let me ask you a question. If you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be? Maybe that one word for you. This is not the word of the year. This is how would you describe yourself in one word? So if you had to take your entire personality, your entire character, your entire work ethic, and describe it into one word, what would it be? This is kind of the crux of designing your elevator pitch, which is how do I pare down what is my last 18 years of life, or my last 20 years of life, or my last 30 years of life, however long you've been alive. How do you start paring that down into a concise set of words that is easily communicatable to other people, and then you can show value in who you are? Okay. Now, you don't have to just memorize that one word, but the example is the same. You have to define and redefine kind of who you are in a very, very short amount of words, because the reality for most people is that, according to research, the average human attention span is only around 8.25 seconds. So even in the short few seconds that I just read that off to you, you might have already gotten distracted by a notification on your phone, or something popping up on your screen. The reality is that when you're pitching and when you're in front of recruiters, or you're at a conference, or you're trying to make a good impression, you really do not have that much time to make that good impression. And as someone more famous than I said, you never have a second chance of making a good first impression. Okay, so in order to really make that and send it home, you've got to make sure that you capture people's attention. Attention is the most critical thing in today's economy. We're in the distraction economy. So it's very, very important, especially when you're one of 50 people standing in line trying to pitch yourself. You have to be able to stand out in just a very, very short amount of time. So in case you haven't gotten this or you kind of nailed into your memory, you have to capture the attention span of who you're speaking to, and you have to bring that energy and that confidence in what you're saying. Okay, so at a high level, what is an elevator pitch, right? And why is it important? Well, an elevator pitch is a way that you can communicate who you are in a very short 20 to 30 seconds. So this is not a 20 to 30 minute dialogue. This is not a 5 minute speech about who you are and why you deserve this position. This is a very short, very concise 20 to 30-second pitch about who you are. So when you're crafting your elevator pitch, I want you to remember this is a short, less than a minute way to communicate who you are. And what I mean by that is to communicate the value that you bring to this person or to this position or to this individual or to this organization, whoever you are talking to. It's how do I communicate the value that I have to this other person? That's all that sales is, in fact. In fact, when you are communicating your elevator pitch, what you are trying to do is sell yourself. And what do you do when you sell yourself? You are trying to show that you have value intrinsically and inside through your experience, through your education, through what your own life experiences, through any extracurricular activities, through your leadership, whatever that is. You have to show and prove the value that you have and communicate that to someone else. And if you do not master being able to communicate value to someone else, you will not nail your elevator pitch, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So an elevator pitch focuses on the skills, but also not only the skills, but also the qualifications that make you uniquely appealing to your audience. And it's made up of three parts. Who are you? What is your value and what are your goals? So who are you? This is a self-reflection. So I want you to take some time to start thinking through, who am I? What makes me unique, different from all these other 50 or 100 people that are standing in line trying to talk to the same recruiter or nonprofit or organization, right? What makes you unique? Who am I? And part of that is maybe your education, maybe your background, maybe your upbringing, maybe a certain unique life experience, maybe a tragedy or a transition that happened to you. The second question is, what is your value? So what is the value that you bring to an organization? Maybe it's partly based in who you are. So maybe it's you went through a tragedy, and because of that, I now know how to, or I know how to be, or I know how to learn, or I know how to experience change or communication or working with a team. And that is the value that I'm bringing based on who I am. And then finally, the third one is, what are your goals? Okay, so we know who you are. We know the value that you bring potentially to this position or organization. Now, what are your goals? Where do you want to take this position? Where do you want to take this role in the coming? Maybe it's for an internship or for a hiring event. So again, who are you? That's kind of where are you starting? What is the value that you can bring to this individual organization or company? And then what are your goals? Where do you want to take? Where do you see this transition? Where do you see this role morphing into because of who you are and what is your value? Okay, so let's start with the first one. So who are you, right? This is very simple, right? So it's your name, it's your major, it's your interesting facts, right? So who are you? So as an example, I would say, hi, my name is David Sandu. My major is, I was an electrical engineer. I'm electrical engineering major. I'm graduating in whenever you're graduating, spring of 2027. And some interesting facts about me, my focus, my passion, my hobbies, whatever they are, specifically and uniquely cater to whatever position you're trying to target. Okay, so you might have a focus or a passion in gardening, and is there a way that you can tie that to the position that you're looking at, right? If not, then maybe that's a focus or a passion or hobby that you don't want to include. But if your passion is coding or something and it applies to a software engineering position, then maybe that's something you want to bring out. Okay. So in this example, at the bottom here, hi, my name is Bruce Wayne. I'm currently a sophomore in mechanical engineering, attending the University of Houston. I have a passion in aerospace technology and project management. So they have said their name, they have said their major, they have said the university they're attending, and they've said an interesting fact. So their passion, okay, what they're passionate about. They said during my time in school, I volunteer. So volunteer, that's an action word. So people like, especially when you're pitching them, they like to see and hear that you are already active because they want to bring activity to their organization. Okay, so I have volunteered with the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers at SHPE junior high schools to host virtual engineering projects where I was able to build on my skills in C++, data analysis, and chemical manufacturing. So in this example, what they're doing is they're tying their volunteer experience with maybe some because they've looked and seen what this position or maybe company is looking for in engineers. They've tied their experience with some some of the goals that the position is looking for. Okay, so that's a very simple way to express some of your value in just a simple "Who are you?" type question. Okay. So the second, which leads into the second point, which is what is your value? Okay, so this you might have gained value because you have been in an engineering project, because you've been in a research and development position, maybe because you did an internship somewhere else. Maybe you have non-engineering experience. Maybe you volunteered with your church or a nonprofit or Habitat for Humanity, or maybe you led an organization, in your local community. And then do you have leadership experience, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you've held a position at a company just to say you've had leadership experience. It could also be that I led a, community-wide food drive in my local community, right? So any type of leadership experience that can set you apart from other people that are also applying for a similar position. So in this example, right, last summer I completed research as a systems engineering intern at the University of Houston. I was able to assist the mechanical engineering department with interpreting blueprints, researching on hydraulic systems, and performing daily maintenance on various aircraft systems. So they're being very specific. I want you to notice this. They're being very specific about what they're doing, about what the engineering project was, about what they led, about the actual activities that they performed. When recruiters and other people are listening to your elevator pitch, they can spot when you're being very vague. They can spot when you're not using clear terminology or clear language. So part of your elevator pitch, you have to be very clear, very specific, okay? So who are you? What is your value? And then what are your goals? So you want to connect your experience to the position and the company, okay? So you want to connect your experience to your goals, okay? So what are your goals for being in the position, or maybe what are your goals for the industry? I've seen this. I've done this personally a number of times where I say, I'm excited about this specific piece of technology or engineering, and I've been using it in my university because I see that this is going to be a game changer in the electrical engineering and defense sector. So you can connect them to your goals, and maybe your goal is I want to be a part of that. I want to be on the cutting edge of testing, this certain flight test instrumentation or whatever that is. The third area is connect them to your engineering interests. Okay, so in this example, last summer, again, you can just read through it's exact same system, but what they're doing is they're connecting their experience to the position and the company. Okay, so in the same way that you can say who are you and what is your value, you have to make sure that you connect it to the goals, which should be aligned to the company or the position that you're doing your elevator pitch for. Okay, so again, recapping: who are you, what is your value, and then what are your goals? Okay. So what you say, this is the last half of my slides. What you say is as important as how you say it. So let's just say you went through and you know who you are, right? You know what is your value and you know what are your goals. But if you don't communicate that properly, then you might be talking on deaf ears, right? Because maybe they're not paying attention. So what you say is as important as how you say it. It's as important the energy that you bring, the conciseness that you bring. And so that's what we're going to talk about now, the 3 C's of communication. Remember, what you say is as important and is how you say it, okay? So the 3 C's of communication, and I use these every single day. You have to be clear, you have to be confident, and you have to be concise, okay? If you start rambling, and you're unclear and you're moving in different directions and maybe your eyes are wandering, it's gonna be very hard for the other person. If you're not clear in what you're communicating, it will definitely be hard for the other person that's trying to perceive the value. It will be definitely unclear for them. So you have to be clear in what you're saying. The second one is you have to be confident, okay? So you don't want to be looking around the room or not looking at people in the eye, right? You want to be very confident in what you're saying, which means you're not fidgeting with, you're not fidgeting with your clothes, you're not, scratching your head. You're very confident. And what does that look like? Well, that means standing up straight. It means looking people in the eyes. It means having your elevator pitch memorized, being confident. When you have your elevator pitch memorized, you will appear more confident because you're not searching for words. You're not looking around trying to think of what the word was. What was I going to say? What was I going to say? No, you have confidence because you've memorized, and it should be able to roll off the tongue. You shouldn't sound like a robot, but you should have the confidence to know what the words that you're about to say. And then finally, the last C, you have to be concise. Okay, remember, you only have about 8.25 seconds before you lose someone's interest. Okay, and in the entirety, the elevator pitch should only be about 20 to 30 seconds in that first intro meeting, right? Remember, you only have one chance to make a good first impression. So again, you want to be clear, know exactly what you're going to say. You want to speak it with confidence, so you're looking people in the eye. You're chest to chest with them. You're not kind of off to the side or looking in a different direction. You're looking straight at them, and then you're concise. You want to be very concise with the words you use. You want to choose the words that you want to use very wisely. If you need help, you can obviously use ChatGPT or some other, Claude or Gemini to help. You can say, hey, here's my value, here's who I am, and I need help to be a little bit more concise so that I can say these words, in 200 words or less, or 30 seconds or less. So make sure that you're concise. Okay, a bad example versus a good example, right? Bad example is I'm looking off in the distance, I'm not looking at them in the face, I'm using vague words, I'm not being very concise, and I have no confidence in what I'm saying. Maybe I'm looking down. A good example would be I know exactly what I'm saying because I have it memorized. I'm looking at them in the eye, and I'm being very concise with the words that I'm using. Okay, so those are the 3 C's of communication. And then finally, body language. I mentioned this before, but make sure you make eye contact with the person you're talking to. Make sure you have a firm handshake initially, and then you put your hands by your side. Okay, so no fidgeting. Don't have your phone out. In fact, have it, either turn it off or put it on silent. And then remember to smile. I know this sounds silly, but 9 times out of 10, if you smile before you are about to talk, so imagine that there's someone standing, between you and the person you're about to talk to. But right as you can hear that their conversation is ending, I want you to just put a smile on, okay? Because that is going to help you and give you the confidence. And I can tell you, because I've been on the other side when I worked at SpaceX, I would go to different types of events like these ship conferences or ship regionals, and I would be on the other side, and there would be a line of 30 people, and the difference between someone that comes with a smile, it can make or break the communication that you have. So 50% of what you say is nonverbal, meaning 50% of what you say comes through your body language. If you're making or not making eye contact, if you come in with a firm handshake or a weak handshake, and if you smile or you don't, right? Or if you're kind of off-putting or you're looking down, you have to make sure that you're maintaining eye contact and that you're smiling when you're talking and communicating to someone else. So I'll end it with this. Your story is unique. Okay, there is no one in the world like you. And I maybe sound like Mr. Rogers right now, but it's true. Your story is unique. There is no one in the world like you. So you need to share your story with confidence. No one has the exact backstory that you. For example, I'm one of 5 kids, right? And grew up in a very kind of mixed race household. My mom is from Mexico. My dad was from India. So I know when I share that story with a lot of people, it's unique. But there's a lot. But you have a unique story too, right? You have a unique battle that you fought, or a challenge that you overcame, or an experience that is unique to you. So you have to figure out how are you going to pair that story in that 20 to 30 seconds with the other person, whoever you're speaking to, and make sure that you share your story with confidence. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, David. I love your clarity, and I absolutely agree with everything. We have to drive the value that the elevator pitches will have. The way that you deliver your message to somebody and get them to connect with you is utmost importance, especially in areas such as like the national convention. And so for the Lobos Leadership Forum, we really want to help students make those very valuable connections. And we want to help you really like check off these boxes, like these basic boxes that you should already have down, such as your elevator pitch. You should know that by memory. You should be so confident in delivering your message to a random recruiter that you run into by the time you get to national convention, or even by the time we get to the Lobos Leadership Forum, because it will be a requirement, like I stated earlier. So yeah, this is why we came up with this elevator pitch competition. It's the first of its kind for our region, and it's kind of going to help us provide a little bit more input for students who participate, provide more feedback to help you grow. Can we go to the next slide? So here are the guidelines for the competition. So our scenario, our audience is going to be a recruiter. And we are going to say that we want to create a very strong first impression with a recruiter that we randomly ran into, whether that was at your national convention, another conference, at the Lobos Leadership Forum, anywhere that you run into this recruiter, and we want you to have a clear understanding of, share with them a clear understanding of your values and your aspirations. So that's our audience, is the recruiter. Participants who can participate in this competition. So all SHPE members, especially Region 5 members, because Region 5 members are actually going to be the ones that get the prizes. And the requirements for this is going to be to create a 30-second to 60-second video recording yourself delivering that message as if we were the recruiters. We do want you to send that recording to us, of course. We also advise for no visual aid, so don't have a PowerPoint presentation. Of course, if you're good enough at like acting it out, we won't be able to tell, but we recommend that you focus on communication skills. So we really want to drive that value of being able to deliver your message properly, um, being prepared, and showing like the 3 C's that David mentioned. So how do you submit this video? Of course, these are details that I'm not going to read everything, but we do ask that you fill out a form first and then send it to the R5 email. The submissions are due by February 28th. So next slide. A little bit on the judging criteria. I'm not going to go through all of this because obviously people could read, but again, we're going to push the message on clarity. So how clear is your message? Like, do you have a structure to that message? Does it have a very clear understand? Does the recruiter understand who you are, where you come from? Just be clear. Engagement. Did your message come across? What's your delivery like? So capture their attention right away. Try to have a hook. We only have 30 to 60 seconds, right? And we are going to be judging based on clarity, engagement, your value proposition. So share with that recruiter what you bring to the table. Like David mentioned earlier, sometimes you use those call to action items like you volunteered, like what's that value that you could provide to this position that you could bring, and share that in the message. There's more judging criteria. There's six areas of judging. So next slide. Next one. There we go. No, sorry, one back. There we go. Okay, so the other 3 are the structure, call to action, and delivery. Like I mentioned, these are going to be our judging criteria. There's 100 points total. You can read the details of each one of these, but overall, our judging is going to be on how clear were you, how was your structure, how was your delivery, meaning like your body language. Did you feel confident? Did you look confident? Did you talk clearly? Was your structure of the message very appropriate? You introduced yourself, you stated your value, and then you provided a call to action. So you provided what is it that you're looking for, or how is it that you could be part of that company in certain roles. So that's what we're going to be judging on. Next slide, please. Like I mentioned, the scoring is 100 points possible, and these are the different scoring options methods. We will be providing feedback to every single one of the participants. We want to provide constructive feedback simply to support your growth. If there's areas that we can improve, then we want to make sure you do that. We want to make sure you are ready for a national convention type of event. We want to get you prepared, and we felt that this was the best way to do it given time allowance. We can't do everybody in a day at the Lobos Leadership Forum. So pushing it out between January and March, or February in this case, when the deadline for the competition is, gives us enough time to really focus on helping you get that elevator pitch down. And with that, what we're going to be doing as far as the selections is the judging team is going to be the Region 5 leadership team. And we're going to pick five candidates who scored under the exceptional. So anywhere from 90 to 100 points. We're going to be selecting five. And then out of those five, we're going to share them on social media, of course, and we're going to allow our regional members to vote for the top three. We do want to share these exceptionals because we want to provide a baseline for all the others to see why we selected people. We want to showcase the exceptionals to give other people ideas to improve on their work, or people who haven't even came up with an elevator pitch to kind of help them out a little bit. So we feel like exceptional should definitely be shared, and hopefully that's okay with everybody. But yeah, the prices are going to be our first place price will be getting free registration to National Convention this year. Second place is going to be $100 stipend to the Lobos Leadership Forum. We are still in the talks of where it's going to be between Dallas or Houston. So we're still working that out, and it's going to be in April, somewhere in Dallas or Houston. So that's to be announced. And then the third place is going to be a $50 Shep Mercado credit. Of course, all of these are non-transferable. I believe that's it. That is the end of this presentation. We will be sharing more details with all the student leader presidents to share out with your chapters. And we really hope to uh, see your pitch and help you improve in this area for sure. All right. I think that is it. Thank you so much, David. That was an awesome
Sure.
presentation. We really appreciate it, and we'll be sharing this out for sure.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.